Okay, there's a set of coon tracks right here on the edge of a sandbar, and there's a small game trail coming right down to it. So we're going to double set this thing. We're going to put a set in the water, and we're going to put a set on the trail. We'll talk about that in just a minute. Afternoon, guys. Dave Canterbury at the Pathfinder School. I'm out here setting some traps along a waterway, and like I said, there's a trail that comes right down here to a sandbar. There's some coon tracks in the sand. There's also some prints that look more canine-like, very small, almost like fox. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to double set this. I'm going to put one water pocket set in here, and I'm going to put a conibear, a 220 on this trail. So what I want to show you today on video is I want to show you how to set a 220 on a trail. We're going to go up the trail just a little bit. I see a nice big stout broken off tree there that we can tie into to hold that thing in place, and we're going to put a stand underneath it. And I want to show you exactly how to do all that stuff for a blind trail set with a 220 conibear. So stay with me, guys. Okay, right here is probably the most constricted area in this trail. And I've got this stand that's made out of rebar, and it's just a rebar stake that's got a couple nails welded to it on the side that are opened up so you can put the conibear inside this when it's set. And what you do with that is you put that, if this is going to be a blind set, you're going to put that right in the middle of the trail, about as high as a raccoon's legs are off the ground. It doesn't have to be real high. Then you're going to set this 220 conibear, and these 220s now are a whole lot different than a 110. These things will put the whooping to you. So what you're going to do with these things, you're going to set them one spring at a time with a pair of setters, most likely. And when you do that, you're going to compress the springs. I compress them by hand if I can. If I can't, I'll use a pair of setters. And you're going to put your safety latches over them immediately as soon as you compress those springs. Now, I like to have these things compressed ahead of time, most of the time. That way I don't have to worry about it. And I know they're going to be good to go. When I get out there, all I got to do is put my trap on the ground. But, okay, there's one spring set. Okay. So you can set these things back at the house, like I said, and then you don't have to worry so much about it. You're not going to take those safety latches off until you've got that thing set anyway. And we're going to use a double safety system with one of these because, like I said, these things will definitely put the hurting on you. So we're going to open this trap up side to side like this. We're going to make sure our latches are down. We don't want this thing going off on us. Okay? Then we're going to squeeze it together. Again, making sure our latches are down. And what I'm going to do is I have a tool around my neck that I'm going to take off right now. And it's basically a safety tool. And what it does is it connects to the trap by spring and only let the trap close so far if it goes off. Even if the springs that are the safety springs or the safety latches aren't in the right place, this thing will not let this thing go loose on me. Now, this thing has to set on this. So we're going to have to let this thing go just a little bit. And that's not a big deal. We've got our safety catch on there. And we want that thing sitting right in the middle of the trail. I really would prefer that it was turned around because I think animals are going to come to it from the other direction. So I'd rather have it going this way so that my triggers are toward the water. Okay. Then I'm going to put that on the lightest setting I can get it on, which is the very front notch. Now I can use these holes right here to stabilize this trap, or I can just shove stakes straight down through the middle of it. But the idea here is that this animal is going to come walking down this trail and walk right through this trap. It's a blind set. Again, my safety's on here until I leave. Now let's get her staked in. Okay. Remember I told you we had pretty soft ground here. I had a stick in here I'm not going to use for that purpose. I'm going to stick one in here this way. Remember that this trap closes side to side, okay? Collapses on itself. So anything I put in here to stabilize this trap is not going to affect this trap shutting. So cross sticks like this give you that ability to stabilize that trap side to side very well without compromising anything when the trap goes off. Now, that trap's pretty much set. It's in the middle of the trail. I'm going to put a trip stick on here, and I'm just going to lean something up on top of here, kind of between these two sticks if I can wedge it in there. And that's just to get a deer to step over the top of it more than anything else, is all that is. I'm hoping that something else will walk right through the middle of this trap, get it stabilized exactly where I want it. All they have to do is touch those whiskers and it's going to go off on them, but I need that thing exactly in the trail the right direction. So I need that thing to be cocked so it's centered in the trail, just the right height for something coon size to walk through it and trip it. And this is a very convenient way to set up what's called a blind set, where you're not going to bait that trap. Now the very last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove both of my safety latches to make sure that this trap goes off when it's done. I'm going to leave my setting tool on there until I get this thing tied off to something. There's a pretty good stout root right here. That's what I'm going to tie it off to, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to run it right over the top of it just like this. Like I said, remember, these are killing type traps. These traps are not, the animal's not going to walk away with this trap. So if I put it down in there pretty good, jam it underneath a couple of things, it's not coming out of there. The animal's going to die as soon as he hits it anyway. Now, the last thing I'm going to do is just lift this trip stick up a little bit so that I can remove my safety catch, turn it sideways, like that, and it'll come off. Put that back around my neck so I know where it's at and I don't lose it. I've tagged the trail where this trap is at, and it's ready to go. Now let me give you a frontal view of this trap. So this is what our trap looks like in the trail. Okay, like I said, this is a blind set. You're wanting that animal to come walking through that trap, climbing right through it. It's not going to bother him to do that a bit. Worst case scenario, he sticks his head into those whiskers and bam, you don't even have to get his feet in there or climb at all. But you've got trip sticks on top of it to keep a deer from tripping it if at all possible. And that's the way you set a 220 conibear in a trail for a blind set. Guys, I'm Dave Caber at the Pathfinder School. I appreciate you joining me for another video on how to set a 220 body grip trap or 220 conibear in a blind set on a trail. I'll be back with another video as soon as I can, and I appreciate your views. I appreciate your support. I appreciate everything that you do for me, for my school, and my family. Thank you very much.